Everyone, please give a warm round of applause for our first panel discussion for the day. I hope you all are geared up for our next discussion. Thank you, everyone. Moving forward, it's time to delve into the most engaging topic of the day, redefining engagement, the rise of interactive CTV advertising. From clickable overlays to remote control responses, CTV is taking interactivity to the next level. Please welcome our next set of panelists, Priyanka Bisen Shah, Head of Digital Marketing, Bajaj Auto Limited, Karan Khanna, Co-founder and COO, NEXad, Abhishek Chadha, EVP, North Interactive Avenues, Himanshu Sirohi, Head of Digital Marketing, Apollo 24/7, Nitin Guleria, Deputy General Manager and Head of Media Mobile at Samsung Mobile, Sajid Gopal, Head of Media, Jubilant Foodworks Limited. And this session will be moderated by Prashant Nandan, Senior Vice President, Apex India, Digital and Traditional Media, Publicis Group. Let's give them all a warm round of applause.
Okay, I think the last panel spoke a lot about CTV and interactive CTV. I think some of you who might have attended Waves 2025, the CTV has grown from being a 450 crore advertising spend to 1,500 crore crossed last year. And we're going to represent anywhere between 8 to 9% of total AdX billing, right? So it's massive. And I mean, I still remember being called an idiot box to smart TV, to connected TV, to now interactive TV. We have come a long way. So let's hear it from the panel of what they believe the interactive TV is and how the future of interactive TV is. So my first question is to Priyanka. I mean, we see there are a lot of products that require detailed consideration set. And how do you see interactive CTV playing a role in this?
Hi, everyone. Interesting question. I have a very different take on this. Yes, so a couple of pointers. Today, connected TV is anywhere, depending on the report that you see, between 45 million to 60 million households is what is being claimed. But beyond that, some interesting facts which you should know is that today we are sitting at about 900 million internet connectivity, of which about more than 75 to 80% has smartphones. So the way I see connected TV is a multi-screen. You start your journey with the connected TV, have a storytelling that happens over there, and move people to the next screen, which is possibly the most important screen where all your actions will happen. So I think, yes, there is QR code. Yes, there are pause ads. There are multiple avenues which people are trying to make it interactive. I still feel that, if I'm trying to surf on a microsite on my smart TV versus if I take them to a smaller screen and then try and have interactions with them, this will be much more successful. Having said that, connected TV has its role to play in the funnel, and 1,500 crores, yes, and growing. But I still feel that it is going to be a multi-screen which is going to play a very important role. Yeah. So that's the role. That's how I see connected TV actually penetrating into India, from just top of funnel to moving people across the funnel. Now, why I'm very excited about connected TV is that we work very closely with Google and so the DV360 product. Now, that product actually allows me, to leverage my first-party data, which being Bajaj Auto, I have huge amount of first-party data. Second, it allows me to do contextual targeting. It allows me to understand a household because with technology, we latch onto the person, and then from their Wi-Fi, we understand how the household actually looks like. So for example, if I am in a household, I'm able to sell a Chetak as well as I'm able to sell a Pulsar because I know that this household is housed to, say, a younger kid. So there is a working mother or there is a stay-home mother who will require a Chetak. So I can go across brands, and I'm leveraging technology in that way to then retarget people on the same network. So I do cross-brand campaigns over there. So in terms of investment, I don't look at investing just in one brand. I look at Bajaj as an umbrella piece where I keep continuously learning and utilize it. The biggest, so because we are talking about premiumization, my biggest case study on using connected TV is with Triumph motorcycles. So we were doing a big brand campaign with Triumph motorcycles. I'm wearing a Triumph t-shirt right now. So over there we are looking at having an affluent cut because of course it is an expensive motorcycle. And we are targeting metros to start off with, which fits the bill when it comes to connected TV. So we've done successful campaigns over there where we initially lay the ground and then take them off to the second screen and have the retargeting journey, which then follows them in their ecosystem of, hello? Yeah. In their ecosystem, I think there's a, hello? You have to switch off this. So, hello? Hello. Should I just talk like this?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So then we follow them in their ecosystem down the funnel through our various.
Check the other mic.
It's on. Hello? No. Leave it. Then we follow them in their ecosystem, and then we target them in the bottom funnel for a conversion to happen. Yeah. So connected TV, we don't look at it as a single or a top funnel activation. We look at it as a full funnel activity. Yes, there will be different life cycles, and the time to purchase for especially something like a motorcycle will be high. But this is how we generally utilize connected TV across our spectrum.
I think that's a great point because what you're saying is that you're using connected TV as a device where you're not just targeting the top funnel but also the, let's say, a bottom funnel campaign or a consideration set of campaign on mobile, right? Yes. Or the second screen.
Absolutely.
Great. Karan, you are in the middle of driving this interactive connected TV. So what are the challenges and opportunities that you see when you are talking to brands, when you're talking to agencies in terms of driving interactive CTV?
So first thing first, the way we understand, and I totally buy the point wholeheartedly said. My first point of view comes here is a shift in the mindset. Largely, if you look at a lot of brands, they still look at connected television more likely to a traditional TV buy. They are not simply buying a screen, they are not buying a device or a medium which can further be measured, which can further enhance their analytics, and further come onto a stage which can bring in the lower funnel or a middle funnel plans. So, like Priyanka largely mentioned about having a microsite. Yeah, at NEXad, yeah. The half of the brand's job is actually done when a microsite, a large
Hey.
means that there has to be a technology stack that marries with BAS 3.0, that makes the another part to it. Then comes the operating system. CTV as a talking about the CTV, every OEM or largely a lot of OEMs, they have their own infrastructure, which is the operating system.
आवाज आ रही है जो तूने एक्सटर्नल लगा रखी है उसमें नहीं है तो उस इंटरनल करना साउंड कर दिया सीटी आ रही थी साउंड इंटरनल है ना इंटरनल
There's some technical glitch. Give us 5 minutes, we'll figure it out. Sure. Easy get up. That means the technology which brings in creativity and that brings in scale along with creativity has also been so further. So to sum it up together, at NEXad we are able to bring that in place after like our testing really well in terms of how we can get creative excellence married with the technology, or a creative player gets along with the technology and finally delivers across all operating systems, across all STGs, across all connected devices, and hence the scale. So Priyanka, briefly about the Trump campaign. So we are the ones campaigning.
I think you spoke about how actually moving from making connectivity more interactive. I think we're right. Thanks, Karan. I think you mentioned how we are moving from CTV to interactive CTV, and I think we are in a journey, and I think it should not just tech, but also the mindset change that is required from all the end to make it happen. Yeah, great. Himanshu, I'm coming to you because you work in a healthcare sector, and how do you see interactive CTV delivering the transparent and consumer-focused messaging?
Okay, so one, healthcare is a boring sector, right? No one is really caring about their health unless there's an emergency or something really needs to be done. Now, if you break up healthcare, right, into two ways. One is acute set of diseases, problems that you have, which is something extremely urgent, you didn't plan for it, and suddenly something happened. The second set of users or audiences is chronic users who have pre-existing medical conditions, and somewhere you probably have to manage that condition throughout your life or probably some points of your life. Now that's how we at Apollo look at healthcare, by breaking the audience into two parts. CTV for us has worked out well from a top of the funnel awareness ecosystem. But when it comes to bottom of the funnel actions, that's where I think the system is still evolving. It's not there yet. But I think the next 2 years is where we'll see a lot of rapid evolution, wherein a lot of offline campaigns will slowly transition into digital OH or probably completely CTV. Now, if you look at 2 years from now, a lot of budgets would be going towards CTV rather than offline. That's a big, bold prediction that we as Apollo see in terms of the ecosystem's evolution. One of the bigger problems that I see is tracking in the offline ecosystem or the more physical ecosystem versus digital ecosystem. I'll tell you one interesting case study that we did. This is about 1.5 to 2 years back. We used to do about 3,000 to 4,000 consultations a day. Now we do about 10,000 consultations a day. So 2 years back, we wanted to push our digital consultations in a big manner. What we did was we reached out to a couple of CTV partners. We planned a whole campaign in terms of targeting native audiences, someone who's a mom and baby user, someone who probably is a diabetic, someone who's suffering from a liver or a gastritis condition. And that's where we did a 1 rupee doctor consultation. So 5 days we ran a whole campaign targeting almost everyone in these native audiences from a mom and baby, chronic space, and a 1 rupee consult. Come talk to a doctor, get a consultation done over a Saturday and a Sunday. Do you know what the results were? Terrible. No one really came, right? Because eventually it's a category wherein you really do not want to talk to a medical practitioner unless there's an emergency or you probably need someone. So the right point of time, that is where you need to be there with your awareness. But one thing where CTV really helped us out was we were able to discover categories wherein you really can go after those categories. People will look at your ads and probably action. Now, which are those categories? Nutrition. So our nutritionist, 1 rupee consult completely blocked over the weekend. Derma. So dermatology as a category, skincare, big. A lot of users we were able to acquire. Mom and baby, which we thought would be a big category. A lot of women who are mothers will probably be looking to switch on over from their pediatricians. That did not happen. So what it also helped us do was understand which categories will give you immediate impact, and you can see it in your bottom of the funnel. The second way would be chronic conditions. People don't really switch their practitioners. So it takes time for you to build awareness in a category. It's not a category which will move very fast in terms of if you go for impact. So CTV helped us kind of cut down that entire time. If I would have gone in a physical space or even on a Meta or other spaces, it would have taken me some time to gather that intelligence, wherein about 10 days you are able to understand which categories will give us immediate impact in our bottom of the funnel, and what categories will need me to probably run campaigns for 3 months, 6 months to get some impact on the bottom of the funnel. So that's where I see CTV, wherein you need to understand where your audiences are moving, where you need to target these audience sets in terms of awareness and see an immediate action item, and then probably build an audience interest over time, and then slowly and gradually you acquire those users.
I think it's a great case study that you spoke about. I mean, it's give us an idea of what actually works, not just a media standpoint, but also from a messaging standpoint. In certain category it is working, certain category it might not be working. Yeah, great. Nitin, coming to you, how do you see interactive CTV provide a seamless, integrated experience from consumer navigating between mobile and CTV?
Evolving?
Yeah.
Check. Okay. I think some of the works have already started in terms of when you see people scanning barcodes directly from the TV. Eventually, that is leading to the landing pages or the desired landing pages. Some of those have already started. I feel that it is there. It is still cumbersome because most of the times what I've seen is, this is my personal experience, is like by the time you are pulling out the TV, the phone and the camera and trying to scan that code, that ad is passed through. So I think there needs to be a permanent sort of I don't know whether you have seen recently, YouTube has also started a permanent sort of a barcode. So yeah, and there should be some sort of an identifier which is always there on the screen, at least whenever your ad is airing, or some sort of a embedded in like they have the movie theaters and all that, right? You can't basically record the movie. There is an embedded code somewhere. So something like that, which doesn't hinder the consumer experience, but it helps quickly to pivot between the devices. So I think it is certainly important, as she rightly mentioned, is that it has to be full funnel eventually, because if you are creating ads with an intent that your consumer should do something, that journey needs to be seamless, right? And I think, as they rightly pointed out, currently there is a lot of tech and the other issues that are across the measurability. And also there needs to be more options, right? What may work for me may not work for a certain other category, right? For FMCG, it is pretty easy, probably, like they want to show the product, they want to be on the top of the mind, okay. But for an app, I think they need downloads. For something like Bajaj, they would need some leads or some informations to be filled in. For us, sales. So yeah, I think that journey has to be very, very unique for every person. And I think currently the ecosystem is not evolved enough to basically give you that kind of options and plethora of workarounds where that can be made seamless. So I think there is a huge scope, but I do see a lot of potential, because eventually, as a manufacturers, like we do manufacture televisions, and what we are seeing as a trend is that traditional TVs sales are almost now 5%. Yeah. So pretty much every TV that is getting sold in the market is a smart TV now. So eventually people are going to move towards that direction. And if you'll see the other trends as well, D2H versus the app and the internet world are colliding. Now you have a geo set-top box that you can watch linear TV, you can play your apps, you can play your other stuff as well. So I think those are about to merge, and the ecosystem has to step up. I think that's where we see a lot of potential and growth.
I'll just come in here. From an ecosystem perspective, I think, I wouldn't say we figured it out, but yes, from a full funnel perspective, right, from getting your CAPI implementation done at the end, where you actually give back all the CAPI and OCI. And actually now Google has come up with their next advanced integration of, it's called leads integration, where online plus offline data both can flow back into your Google console. Minus Samsung ecosystem, Samsung TV ecosystem, all other connected TVs are now with Google. So when I'm doing ads, Samsung TV, of course I do ads with Samsung TV also, but then that's treated separately. All other OTTs and remaining YouTube connected, connected TV on YouTube, sorry, YouTube on connected TV, all that is done via my single console, where I can actually track how many people who have purchased were influenced by what when I showed them the ad. So if you stitch the whole thing together, it's fairly nascent stage. It's about 50-60% correct information, but if the whole journey is stitched, you can measure the whole piece. The second point is that every time, for any brands, irrespective of auto, top of mind is what is important. So we run a lot of BLS studies along with Kantar. So we've just tied up with Kantar, and let it be Samsung, let it be DV360, we just run BLS study on every campaign that we do, which tells you that how many searches have actually happened after they've seen the ad. So while I may not be able to at all times measure the entire journey, but definitively I can see a brand search, a BSQ shift whenever I do a large campaign for any of the brands. So that's the second. So measurement is important, but what you measure and what is the KPI that you then eventually tell the management that I'm going to be setting out for is very critical. Because digital, everything is measurable, but the problem is everything is measurable. So, we have to play that part.
Yeah, great perspective, I think, both of you. And by the way, just for this thing, we are the largest country in the world who scan QR code. That's on record. So we are the largest after Brazil, even, it's not even China, who scan the QR code because we are so comfortable scanning the QR code now, post-pandemic and all these things which has happened. Right, so yeah, I mean, the entire interactivity needs to go beyond just a QR code, which rightly Nitin spoke about, and obviously, how do we seamlessly connect what we're doing on Connected TV versus what is happening on your bottom line of business? That is something that is very, very important, yeah. Priyanka, coming to you, from your perspective, okay, how do you see interactive CTV simplifying complex product features? Because there might be a complex product feature that needs to be explained on CTV as a largest real estate that you are owning, right? How do you do that, and what are the recommendations that you have for the everybody who is hearing about it?
So this actually, from just media planning or execution, it goes into more of creative space. It has to be a well thought of storytelling, which you have to break. And CTV allows you, so a person is watching a show, so if there is, say, about 4 features that I want to show. Let me take an example of Chetak. Okay, Chetak is an electric two-wheeler vehicle. Now, I want to talk about speed of charging. I want to talk about the space that it gives so that, people can keep their space. I want to talk about the range, or I want to talk about the speed. I can create nodes of smaller content pieces and a thread that ties all of them together and have them placed sequentially when it comes on Connected TV. The same thing I can, in the retargeting, I can have the storytelling in a sequential manner so that one after the other, I'm able to convey the product story in shorter format. One product video of 1.5 minute, I think people don't have the patience. 6 to 15 seconder is what I see where people are even ready to actually watch or connect with you. So the way we approach it at Bajaj Auto across brands is that we will go ahead and create smaller nodes from a larger film. Of course, there's a larger film which will be residing on YouTube, but there'll be smaller nodes which will inform you about certain things, because there are some people who are interested, say, in range, some people who are interested in speed, some people who are interested in the space that is there. So depending on the cohort that I'm targeting, I will show them the ad in that particular sequence. Of course, I'll end up showing them everything, but what is important and will resonate with you is what I will show you first, so that then you're able to connect. So I think that is what Connected TV is allowing me. Connected TV per se, plus even YouTube and overall advertising is allowing me to do is create small nodes and serve it to the audiences when what matters to them, because whatever matters to you is what you will resonate with. So our earlier panel, the lady spoke about DCO. Okay, DCO, why is it doing so well? Last 2 years, you would have seen the spends on DCO going up like crazy because you're connecting with the audiences. IPL time, most of my ads are only on DCO because I know that the people who are watching are interested in knowing what the score is at that time, even if they are not watching the match. And they will connect or click when the ad shows up with something that is of interest to them. So I think this is the way forward.
Okay, so basically you are recommending us to use sequential, DCO, retargeting. These are the different features that a brand are using to make sure that they're connecting with their audience.
Absolutely. Yeah? I mean, it's not one size fits all. It will be very different for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Karan, coming back to you, in terms of the interactive CTV, which is now gaining a lot of momentum, and you have heard the last panel and now us, what are the changes in technology and viewership behavior that you think is making the right time for these brands to invest?
Okay. So I think technology and viewers or audiences is one of the best digital relationship we have. Though it's best, but it's kind of complicated as well. Technology infrastructure cannot be evolved without audiences, and audiences cannot evolve without technology infrastructure. So I'll break this down into 2 points, and I'm going to take audiences first, and that's exactly the approach I personally work on. It's an audience-first approach. If you go back like 15 years back, right, we started having interactivity on the mobile devices, like since the time we got like the smartphones. There was a time when the education was given out to the brands, agencies, and even us ourselves, coming in from a publisher or platform perspective, that how users interact with a brand communication. It could be a tap, it could be a skip, it could be reveal something, it could be scratch. There are like thousands and thousands of interaction points. Now, at this point of time where we are right now, let me say it last 2 or 3 years, the same trend is being replicated and the same trend is being measured across the larger screens as well. Although not at a great proportion like how it's been done on the mobile devices, because obviously, like she mentioned, 900 million, somebody mentioned 900 million internet users, and let's say 70% of them are the active ones. CTV is not even 10% of it. So it cannot be really measured in the same direction. But the users are evolving, and we do see those metrics coming into our console, how users are evolving. Coming to the QR scans, a lot of times, let me just address Nitin's point of view. Till the time a user gets an opportunity to scan a QR, the ad goes away. Yes, that's a harsh fact. But there are ways to do it. There are a lot of ways to do it, irrespective of the category. It's just as per the category or as per the product, we need to understand what kind of a communication or what kind of a format are we making for that particular brand or anybody for that matter. Coming on to the infrastructure point of view, I mentioned VAST 3.0. Yeah. It's just one piece of it. And VAST 3.0, we evolve it further to, let's say, a 3.1 or whatever. That is not something alone that can solve the entire infrastructure problem. There's a lot more, which is, let me say this with the server-side calls. There's a lot more from the operating system perspective. There's a lot more from a dynamic generation perspective, how a particular creative dynamically renders on a particular screen. And even coming on to the responsive part. Now, TVs are evolving. The manufacturers like Samsung, TCLs, LGs, they're also evolving from their technology perspective. And the users are evolving in terms of what kind of a screen size do they want in their household. Now, I was reading out a report. I think it was McKinsey report. 5 years back, the sale of a 32 inches TV was on the top. If you go back to this, if you go back like 6 months back, I think it was like December report, 43 inches has got the highest sale, and 32 stands at the lowest. So the users are evolving. They know what kind of a TV screen they want in their house, and definitely the price point also matters a lot. So to sum this up in a more conclusive way, here, the infrastructure, which is a technology infrastructure, it has to very well marry with the audience behavior. And audiences are evolving. The education of that creative infrastructure or a technology infrastructure needs to be passed out to the audiences, be it from scanning, be it from how do they interact on a television screen, or coming in from something like how they scan. Okay. Now, moving on to something which is more to do with a comparison, which is generally taken between mobile desktop and the connected television. CTV largely is taken as a top of the funnel activity, but actually it's not a top of the funnel activity. CTV is one medium which can actually cater to all three funnels in a particular media plan, if it's done in the right proportion. Now, it could be largely catering to the first-time user on the top of the funnel, then getting the users to interact coming into the mid-funnel, and finally getting the users to transact, which becomes your bottom funnel. Now, transaction is not something that's going to go easy. You probably need to use ACRs, you need to use a lot of dynamic content consumption patterns given by OTTs, OEMs, or SCBs. But eventually it happens. And we have, at NEXad, we have done like a couple of things where we get that kind of responses, and we measure it. So largely, infrastructure, viewership, or audiences both have to evolve simultaneously. Then only we are going to be able to see that kind of a success in the near future. And definitely, we are going to have a high user base in 1 year, for sure.
No, I think you're absolutely right on this, because I think we are in a journey, CTV is in a journey where mobile used to be 5-6 years back,
Yep,
right?
yep.
I mean, now it has become a usability divide. I mean, we use it for everything. Like, we want to use a camera, we want to use anything else, we use phone, right?
Yeah.
That's how the CTV will become, because eventually you can do a lot of things from CTV. You can do your video calls, you can do your gamings, everything is possible via connected TV. So I think, yeah, we're in the right journey. The more users, the affordability increases, the more people have the access to the connected TV, I think the interaction will also increase.
I'll give you a fantastic example. What I've done at my house, I've got that Amazon Alexa screen. I've integrated that to my television. Yeah. Although I have a voice command on my TV, but that Amazon Alexa, I just have to give a voice command to my television, and the order gets made through Amazon Alexa. So this is the kind of integration what I've done, and that's my personal thing to make life easier for myself.
Yeah.
But that, again, that's basically my behavior and the kind of technology infrastructure or the kind of linkage between the devices I'm doing.
Yeah, okay, great. Himanshu, coming back to you, from a healthcare advertising point of view, because at one point of time it needs to be informative, but at the same point of time, it cannot be overwhelming or, let's say, alienating to the audience, right? So how do you manage that, balance that when you're doing an interactive CTV campaign?
So I think your health is sacred to you. It's very confidential, it's very sensitive. A lot of families, people will not even want to discuss it with their kids, not to worry them. And health is something, right? It worries you whenever any symptoms are off the radar from your daily, day-to-day normalcy or schedule. So that's where we are. In terms of confidentiality, sensitivity, we don't really run any retargeting, any personalization on CTV. You never know whose kid is watching what, if there's a spouse who even understands the physical condition. And while I know that this cohort has a certain pre-existing disease, I will not want to run ad and probably freak out the entire family. So that's where we are in terms of generally not personalizing. We kind of open our audiences and we run more blanket campaigns in terms of targeting those categories. In terms of the creative, right, let me start with structured heart health. There are heart procedures which involve invasive surgeries. I think everyone in the room is bored, right? But now what if I say that there are robotic surgeries which are non-invasive, which will save you money, which will not have long-term consequences, you will still be open to understanding it. So healthcare as a category is boring. You will not want to understand different conditions. It also freaks you out. So what we do is, imagine if I have to generate demand or probably awareness for a category like robotic surgery for my cardiology department. We will want to run a cohort, but we'll not freak out audiences by giving them too much detail. We'll tell a few benefits, use a small hook, and build some interest in terms of whether we can generate a lead or probably directly mapping that view to a search that led to a lead generation and then a walk-in into one of our hospitals. So that's how we kind of monitor that. In terms of medicines as a category, or probably FMCG as a category, and we do about 1 million orders a day in our offline stores, the Apollo 247 app and the website. So there's a lot of intelligence that we have in terms of who's buying what, which geography, which pocket is contributing to what brand and what orders. And a very small example can be who's buying a Himalaya face wash, which pocket, versus who's buying a CeraVe face wash. And we exactly know these pockets in terms of all these 6,500 stores, as well as the orders that we get on our app and website. So what we do is with CTV, we kind of target these audiences via geography, via retargeting, and then we go after them. Another story that we do is, big time we used GeoStar in terms of our churned users who had probably used our platform in the last 4 or 5 years and were not using it right now. And very, very simply, there was no real moat in terms of e-pharmacy as a category. And we created a moat when we entered quick commerce, 19-minute medicine delivery, which none of our competitors were doing. So what we did was all of those churned users, about 15 million users who had ordered from us online were not ordering now. We used GeoStar, just ran retargeting campaigns, 90-minute delivery, and there was a clear increase in terms of activation of our churned, lapsed, win-back customers or cohorts, and 30% activations is what we saw in the last 3 months. So that's where we feel there are categories where you can do personalization, you can go after those cohorts, establish your moat, and then there are sensitive categories which are confidential. You really don't need to go very detailed in terms of your creative or your communication. Keep it a little generic, keep it light, explain the benefits in a way, and then probably use it, your lower funnel activations, be it lead, be it other different engines, and how do you activate those users?
Yeah. I think great point in terms of how do you target when it's a very sensitive category. And I think what you spoke about is not just true for CTV, but for all media altogether, right? Nitin, coming back to you, from the interactive CTV standpoint, while we have spoken a lot about what is the role that is doing for awareness, but do you see that it's driving trials? Do you see that it's driving the lower funnel leads? And what are your thoughts on this?
I'm sure if used correctly, it is. But as I said, trials is a very business-centric decision, right? I mean, you don't try medicine, right? You try a bike, you try a phone, but so it depends category to category, right? So I think what I was trying to say earlier as well is like trial would mean different for every category and every brand, but you want to basically have that full funnel. If the question is that whether it impacts the bottom of the funnel or not, it can. If you use it smartly, as Priyanka was rightly mentioning, if you use the data, if you understand that you were influencing them on the top of the funnel, or collect that data somehow and retarget them or reach out through other touch points, it can certainly derive a lot of value. But is there a scope of improvement? I feel genuinely there is a lot of potential. He was mentioning that there are different set of experiments, scratch, like early days of mobile that they were happening. I feel that CTV would require a little more different approach, because at least in the mobile space you had that flexibility of, as the touch screen evolved, right? Yeah. You were able to do a lot of different hand gestures, and also touch points were created. Now what's happening on the CTV front is that the touch screen one will eventually come for sure. I can tell you that. Some of them are already launched. But I think for the general public, the overall user experience with the remote itself needs to go really, seamless and evolved in terms of that if they want to basically choose multiple items. Like for example, today you have to type a password. It's a task on a CTV, right? You want to log into Amazon, it's like you will be like, no, I'll rather open my phone, my app, or do it. So that either needs to be connected to your other devices, but eventually I would say that it needs to evolve to a level that you just from your remote can do that transaction or fill that lead or do many things from that device. So I do feel there is a potential, and certain categories have genuinely worked on that. But I think for the mass advertising fraternity, there needs some sort of an evolved solutions. So that's
great point. I think from a remote standpoint, I think we have done a couple of experiment with different brands that we work with, and we have seen a great success, because let's say if you are doing selling a car, the user can see different colors of the car, different features of the car just by using the remotes, right? Because end of the day, you are owning the largest real estate of the TV, right? And it's right in front of you. So I think make use of it. But as Nitin said, I mean, we are looking for more technology advancement, and the more it moves, the better it is, the more connected devices it is.
So Prashant, to that point, I have a personal view on this, that not all categories will eventually do well on connected TV, for a simple reason that connected TV is a family viewing, whereas mobile is personal. So yes, okay, car is still a family involved decision making. A bike may be a very personal thing, or for some other category, certain things are very personal to nature. So people can see it, and then if more and more the requirement will be to move people to the second screen. Because the first screen where everybody is watching, I mean, there are 4 people watching. It's not a common interest thread that runs in that everybody will start watching the color of the car. I mean, I'm just giving an example.
Basically from co-viewing to personalized messaging.
Co-viewing to personalize is I think the way forward for certain categories. For categories like cars and all, where you know you also have the kid involved in choosing the color and seeing okay how it is. But that's also fairly slightly ahead from a mid to bottom funnel, where they actually start doing it. At the top of the funnel, people are still looking at brands. So that is something that, you know, as marketeers, we have to be really aware of that. Does it really work for my brand? Before pushing the envelope, technology will find its way, but does it really work? And are we just making ourselves happy that, oh yes, I've done a full funnel, and have the money where it matters?
Great, great. I think this brings to the end of this panel, but I think I personally learned a lot from all of you. So thank you so much for being such a knowledgeable and such a good panelist. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to all the panelists for that inspiring session, and I would request all of you to please be on stage and request Rahul Puri to come on stage and hand over the token of appreciation. Please give a warm round of applause for this session.